This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
A fabulous free kick from Leighton Baines. It's scored by Tim Cahill in injury time for Everton. Stunning from Lewis Rodriguez. Here's Duncan Ferguson. Dawson, oh, what a finish from Ben Dawson. It's 2-0. And Ian Henderson, right on half-time.
The TV deal for Premier League next season is interesting, if anyone's ever read through it. I know Mark doesn't. Essentially, they're advertising 215 games.
I think at least 215, isn't it?
Well, essentially, Amazon then lost, as I don't know, again, whoever knows, Amazon had 3 rounds of games, I want to say, two or three, which was one midweek. They had all the Boxing Day games. I forget another one. Might have been BT, might have had another round of games in there, but Sky basically got them all apart from the Saturday lunchtime kickoff. But as part of that, they're also now going to start showing the games that get moved to Sunday at like 2:00. So they won't just have one game on where there's like 3 games in the background. They'll have all those games on, and they're also going to show, which I thought was a thing, but apparently it isn't. They're also now going to show every game on the last day. So like this weekend, for example, where I was sat here going, why isn't Everton Newcastle on? Because Newcastle go Champions League football. Surely there's an interest in that. And then they had on, what was it, Liverpool Palace. Okay, yeah, makes sense. Liverpool win the league. You kind of want to show that. Forest Chelsea, yeah, makes sense. And then United Villa. Why wasn't the Newcastle game on? But that's not a problem next year. Every game is going to be shown.
Yeah.
Which I think they're kind of getting the same vein as, and again, Mark, comes on to you, how it works in the EFL, where whenever they can, they show every game.
Yeah, what they've been doing the last few seasons, I want to say, on the red button, if it's a midweeker, they'll show everything. Yeah. So you've got your main game, but then everyone else is on the like I said.
So has that been a positive for you? As in, I always wonder from an away perspective, I suppose, probably not supposed to.
It's meant I've been able to watch more games, even if it's at home. So at home, I mean at my house, not at the Hawthorns, but that as well. To be fair, there's been games that have been at the Hawthorns that I haven't been able to get to because work or whatever reasons. I've been able to stick a red button on, job done. So I mean, I'll get to as many as I can in the flesh, but got a young family and all that, so it doesn't always allow to get there. But like I say, the ones that are on the red button,
I think there's always that worry, that the more games is televised, the more it's going to take away from people going to the game. But I don't think it necessarily will.
It's a difficult balance because I know, but what Rochdale do is, so if we're playing Southend away, they will buy the subscription to be able to watch either that individual game or the season in non-league, conference, whatever you want to call it, National League, and then they screen them in the Radcliffe Bar. So if we're playing Southend away, they'll say, come down to the Radcliffe Bar at Rochdale, we've got the Southend game on, £5 for 2 beer, whatever it is, 2 bottles of beer, bum, bum, bum. So that's quite a good way of generating something to your club if you can't get to Southend on like a Friday night or whatever it is. There was one that was absolutely mental, and you think, why are we playing that team so far away on a Friday night or something? But there's ways around it to make it sort of benefit your club a little bit. Like we did that basically. We just put the overhead projector on, and then I thought that was quite a good idea. And I've never known us to do that regularly before. The pub that's connected to the stadium made a bit of money, and they opened the club shop or whatever before it, and we've made more money than not buying that subscription for that particular game or the season and having the away games on. So it trickled the money in, but I don't know any other teams that do that. Do you know, in lower way down, if you will, like your Port Vales or whatever? Do you know?
That's an initiative where you could include it in season tickets.
There was when Spurs won the Europa League. first televised it at the game, and apparently they were only going to put it on the screens at the top of the stand.
Yeah.
Then everyone kicked off being like, well, hang on, you're selling X amount of tickets.
Far away, yeah.
So they put screens on the pitch, and then when they won, all the fans pitch invaded the pitch, as was always going to happen. And there's this hilarious moment where the announcer was like, we have a game on Sunday against Brighton, please leave the pitch, and no one's
going to do that, are they?
Everyone's too busy scaling the screens.
Yeah, scaling the screens. Do you know, like, fair play to Tottenham for doing that and other clubs, but I don't know if that's a thing these days. It's only, I don't know if other clubs do it.
Well, because United had a screen. Well, I don't know if it was them, but the AO Arena had a screening of the final.
Yeah.
Whether that was anything to do with United, I don't know.
Probably not. Do they have to pay for it?
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, he saved on the barbecue, so that's a bonus.
Yeah, they saved on sausage. They saved on that, so that's something.
Gosh, absolutely.
Yeah, I think. I don't know whether the Saturday 3 p.m. blackout does affect things like that, where you, even as a club, you can't even show
licensing issues,
an away game. Yeah. But it would make sense, because I think Everton do show games in the bars and the ground. Well, they not got us anymore, obviously, but they have done it, I think, before. But yeah, I don't know why you can't for a bigger game as such.
See, where do we stand on the blackout?
Feels old-fashioned these days.
True. Yeah.
It feels to me like it's something that, in this day and age, where, I mean, let's face it, we all know you can watch a 3 o'clock game if you really try hard enough.
You get like a random subscription to a Norwegian sports channel or something like that.
Well, that I would.
Years ago, like when me and Jimmy were at uni, you just randomly find an Everton Norwegian link watching Chelsea or something. You go.
I'm trying to think of the old websites I used to watch on. But yeah, it's something. It feels like there's going to be a slight shift. Don't know when. At some point over the next few years, that's going to stop. Well, not stop. That's going to prevent that becoming an issue, because it does feel like there's certain times where, what was it? They can't even show games from outside of England, which feels a little bit daft. When you've got, I think it was an El Clasico game, wasn't it, a few years ago? Where they couldn't put it on till 5:30, and you're like, what? That's ridiculous.
Same with the Dortmund Munich game or a few German games, because they kick off about 5 o'clock in the UK.
Yeah,
and it's
that for me seems weird.
That's a strange one, because it's not going to prevent attendances, or I don't know. That's
exactly, and that's where the issue is with it, is that it feels slightly old-fashioned. Whereas I think this day and age, say if you're that keen to watch your team at 3 o'clock on the telly, you're going to find a way to do it. And it feels like, I mean, the whole thing about Sky getting more games, it does feel like the Premier League are going to start to shift more to a Premflix style of subscription service at some point, because it will make them a lot of money compared to what it would make them.
Like a Red Zone type channel for 3 p.m. games, where, or like TNT do with the Euro goals, where basically as the goals go in, it's easy, it's short content. It's for the younger generation, the way they consume sports media now isn't the full 90 minutes necessarily.
It's highlights.
It is just like it's moments, it's highlights. That's what I do. I don't have time to watch a full 90 minutes myself these days, unfortunately.
Is that just because it's Everton, though?
Largely, yeah. The last 90 minutes I think I watched was the first leg of Barcelona Inter, so a good one.
No, you watched the Ramsey game the other day with us.
I did watch Southampton game with you, that's right.
We did miss the first 10 minutes because we walked at the pub.
We did, because we were trying to find a pub, but still.
I'm not sure
it's match today regardless.
It's an institution, isn't it? To a lot of people.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I something like the goals on Sunday. I watched most of them on the highlights, and then still rewatched most of the day just to, just from another perspective, to see what the pundits say about it or whatever else. I think there's still a.
You say about the licensing thing just now. It's reminding me of what they've done with the WWE. Now it's gone to Netflix. Because when I was on the network, I went to a Royal Rumble watch party last year in Birmingham with a bunch of lads that I've made friends with through podcasting. Great night out, really enjoyed it. But now it's come to Netflix because of reasons. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but they've stopped people from showing it in venues like that and charging for it.
I didn't know that. That's a shame.
It's strange because it's still on box office, isn't it, for certain things? It's only on Netflix now.
Possibly, I don't know. Well, I've got Netflix anyway, so I have to watch it. But anyway, that's a wrestling thing, not a football thing. But yeah, it's just very...
That's right, you've got 3 wrestling fans talking about it.
We love a bit of wrestling. I do, anyway.
We do indeed. We do indeed.
Me and Jimmy went to the Beer Keller in Manchester years ago to watch the...
Mania 33?
Was it 33?
No,
that was fantastic. That was the one when... I think we spoke about this before years ago, but it's one where the Hardy Boys came out randomly. Well, not randomly. It was...
Oh, in Florida.
Yes.
The Undertaker Reign, really awful main event.
Yeah. That should have been for Tyrant.
And then you and I watched 34, must have been the cool, because it was the Reigns one. Which was
that 34 we watched together?
What's 34, I think, yeah. Where Ronda Rousey did the sharpshooter or something.
Yeah. She had Triple H on her shoulders.
Yeah.
That was a strange
I
mania.
think that was 34.
35, because 35 was COVID year, wasn't it? No, it was 36 COVID year.
Oh.
Because I watched the COVID one because there was nothing else to do.
No, I think 35 was... You went up to 35 in Liverpool, but 36 was then between Nitro and COVID.
That's right, 36 was COVID.
I'm leaning towards 36.
36. Just 35. This is why my brain works. I was thinking about the stage, which helps remember which one it was.
Yeah.
34 would have been... Oh, you know what? I can't remember where 34 was.
New Orleans?
Was that New Orleans? Was that the Superdome?
Or was it Orlando?
No, Orlando was the 33 with the roller coaster stage.
Oh, that was brilliant.
Best stage they've done by a mile.
Yeah.
What we are saying ultimately is bring it back to Wembley.
I think it will be.
A UK Mania.
Well, it was supposed to be in New Orleans next year, wasn't it? And then it's been cancelled, apparently. They've now got money in the bank, I want to say.
Right.
But the rumour is it's going back to Vegas, which is a terrible idea.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
But London is very eager on hosting one. I mean, you'd have to sell a few kidneys to get tickets for it. But
just a few.
We've got 2 each, so
Who needs 2?
We can survive one big podcast kidney, it's fine.
Yeah, sorted. But yeah, it's on its way soon. I think with them seeing how well receptive it's been. You know what they've done? Is it France? They did it in Press mental.
And the Clash in the Castle events. But anyway, I thought we were talking football.
We were. Sorry,
making the tangent, but yeah.
In the last 5 minutes. Apologies.
Obviously, there's been a bit of a common theme this season of teams that haven't won a trophy for a while, or have never won a trophy. I've won trophies. It's refreshing for me. Do you guys have a massive issue with those teams? It's got to be refreshing, surely.
It's not us. It should be.
Now, there's the bitter blue we were talking about earlier.
Still there at heart. Still there at
It took
heart.
5 years,
made up for them, but Martin was like, it's another club that's won something now.
I didn't think you'd be that bothered. Like, as in, like, instead of Liverpool winning it, and typical.
Years.
No, it's not that. It's more just it's one of the big City United when you go, no, it's not.
When it's a team that you have beaten this season.
Oh.
Twice. That's when you're like, oh, for fuck's sake. I mean, to be fair, we were FA Cup this season, we beat Peterborough and then we lost to
Bournemouth. We were
there for. It's not as if I'm sat here going, oh, we were there. It was our year and we were so close.
Yeah, oh God, no, not at all.
But yeah, when you see a team, I mean, I know sometimes it's not written for them, but it all comes together for them. And they had a tough run, Palace, as well, and beat some bloody good teams in the way. So they 1,000% deserve it. It's more the, fuck's sake, why couldn't that be us? When it's 2 teams who have a very similar...
It's the first ever trophy they've been waiting
exactly.
years for it. And
same for Newcastle. That final, Newcastle against Liverpool, you saw 2 teams. You saw one team in Liverpool who, I wouldn't say underestimated Newcastle, but one team who
wanted
used to winning things.
Well, yeah.
Used to winning it. And you saw Newcastle where it meant everything to them. And thankfully for them, it came through. On the day, the better team won. They battered Liverpool, really. 2-1 was flattering.
Yeah. If that was us losing the final, I'd be...
We devastated.
I don't know. Somebody put it in one of the football chats. I don't know if it was you, Jim, about Tottenham wanted to win the cup, but Man United wanted to win the Champions League spot.
Yeah,
and it's like that's absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot on.
Yeah, they weren't going to. Well, they would have celebrated it on the night, but there was no plan. Like Spurs had parade and planned and whatever else, but United, it was very much it was almost like the trophy was beneath them.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel it was almost like it was a business decision rather than a football decision, maybe because of the money that generates.
Fully understand when you're a club of that magnitude, you don't, you celebrate that trophy because of what it gets you, not because of the trophy itself. I get that, there is, and this is where that summer for them becomes very interesting without that Champions League money. I still reckon they'll fall on their feet. It frustrates me to say that, but I still think a part of me thinks they'll just fall upwards and they'll end up in the top 4 because they have no European football next season. Even they'll blight their way to top 4 or whatever else. The other part of me wants it to really to have them now in that thing where this is it now. This is where you are, and accept it because you've had it good for X amount of years.
Yeah,
but you've mismanaged your way down to this. And live with it.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think there's going to be some PSR shenanigans going on. We're already looking at signing Matthias Cunha and Brian Brown.
Million. Just to show the rest of them that it's possible. Well, if you look at United, are $1 billion in debt, whatever it is, I'm figuring it, and yet I could still change the books a certain way, and they'll probably sell Rashford and they'll sell Garnacho for pure profit. Fine, okay, but this is where again PSR just doesn't sit right when you've got a team who is coming out and saying we're running out of money and are firing staff left, right, and centre and whatever else. And they're saying about how they're going to have a barbecue if they win the Europa League, all that kind of stuff. And yet, 60 million quid on Matthias Cunha. And I get the fact that won't be £60 million up front. I know it'll be spread over X amount of years.
Yeah,
I get the fact how that works. But, doesn't sit right with me. But
Wasn't this something that Barcelona were doing about 2 years ago, where they were in a bit of trouble?
Barcelona did bloody everything. Barcelona, Christ.
Lewandowski, and you think, what? How? Yeah. What? How did that?
But Barcelona again are in the similar vein to the name alone. Would just keep them afloat because people would. But it does become the fact because Madrid are just a colossus. They're already talking about spending big money in the summer. Which
Madrid is so big they don't need to spend big money. They tap players up 4 years in advance to sign them when their contract runs out.
That's true. I mean, Trent though in there. We haven't talked about Trent, have we? Oh, we haven't talked about Trent. Trent getting booed.
We haven't.
What a moment.
What's your thoughts, Mark, on the Trent situation?
Well, I'll say I haven't got a horse in either race in the La Liga or Premier League, but again, he's... Well, how old is he now? He's not 30 yet, is he?
27?
27, yeah. So he's got a good few years ahead of him. Why not try and test yourself in another division? Look at players who've gone over there recently. Conor Gallagher, at Atletico, hasn't done him any harm. Can't even get my words out now.
Scott McTominay in Italian League.
Who started in Stourbridge's youth team. Although Birmingham City claim him as their own, he's not. He's a Stourbridge boy. Get over it. But he's gone into massive things over there. So why not? I don't get the whole booing him when he was it when he came on a sub or something recently and he got booed.
Yeah, they played.
It's the Arsenal game, wasn't it?
Was Arsenal? Yeah,
they came on against Arsenal. They'd won the league. He announced he was leaving. Comes on against Arsenal, and he got booed. And it was like
he got booed.
Thing is, this guy's given 2 decades of his life to that particular club. Surely he's earned the right to go and play anywhere else. Really, it's not like he's going to Saudi Arabia.
He's going on a free, and it's obvious that he's run out his contract X amount of years. But then, is that on Liverpool for not letting him do that, but for not seeing ahead of that? I don't know. I think it was
possibly.
There's a two-sided argument to that as always.
Whereas we're not fans of the club, obviously, so we don't have that relationship with the player. We also have to remember that even if someone grows up a fan of a club, plays for them, they have to separate their fandom to their professional life.
But
it's a chance that might never come across again, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. But he's also, to me, the epitome more of a modern footballer, which is people liking him to Gerrard, and like he's not the same character as Gerrard. Gerrard was very much that. I mean, he flirted with Chelsea.
Gerrard had to leave a few times.
4 or 5, whatever it was. But he's always, once he's in the past few years in particular, Trent is seems someone who I'm not saying he's going to get to the likes of Beckham who will transcend football, but he's very much involved in that world of, I'm not just a footballer, I've got a brand.
What celebrity?
Yeah, it's a brand. It's essentially what he is. And that's just, Bellingham will be in the same way. There'll be a bunch of players that will all come through in the next few years who will have that thing where they're not just footballers. They're not just what they're known for. He will go off and he'll do other things. And Madrid is kind of the perfect place for someone like that, because you then, it's the epitome of club football. Put it one way or another, you can, and that's not just go against the likes of Liverpool. They're a massive club, and they are for that reason. But Madrid is its own thing. Madrid is just another thing.
Yeah, well, it says Colossus, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's just, they are just that thing, and and they're the reason why we all hate them, because
I'd argue both Spanish clubs are just in a different stratosphere in terms of popularity.
They've got their own subcategories of even the Galacticos were their own thing. Do you know?
They're both going to be. It's going to be like it was in about 08-09 when those two clubs attracted any player they want.
But how much power does a club have? You can't force someone to sign a contract.
Is it a little bit naive of Liverpool Football Club themselves to not really be making sure that they're keeping a player like that? It's got to be naive, hasn't it?
Yeah, Liverpool aren't daft. God, they ran bloody well, Liverpool. They would have known that there's a point we have to get to where this doesn't become financially viable for us. They'd have offered him the best terms they possibly could on. Also, but if he's gone in there and said, look, I want to go and play in Madrid, there might have been a thing of, well, we can't compete with that. We can offer you all the money in the world, but if it's not about money, which, let's face it, at this point, it kind of isn't, because he's on good money regardless of where he is.
Definitely.
It's just a chance to go and play for Real Madrid, which, I can see why it would sting from a Liverpool fan perspective when he's coming through the ranks and the youth squad and he's won everything there. And there's that thing of, why would you leave this when look at what we have currently? Just won the league title, are going to be competing for years to come. Yeah. But it's just the fact that it's just Real Madrid. It's just that thing, and it must be frustrating for we've had it with players that have moved on to Gareth Bale for Spurs and Ronaldo and all these different players who you just think, we just can't compete with that. We just cannot. And if you can make it work, the likes of Alan, Luka Modric, Gareth Bale, Christ, that's not a bad career.
PSG up them the GDP of a small country. They always wanted Real Madrid.
Yeah, it's true.
They offered him the presidency of the club at one point, and it was like, no, still want to go Real Madrid.
And a way where PSG have benefited from that in the long run, because they've now built, you could argue, a better team.
Yeah.
In terms of a squad, and might win a Champions League on Saturday, who knows? But it's just Madrid are just that thing. They're just the ultimate for some players. And he's always said he wants to, Trent said he wants to win a Ballon d'Or. I don't think you're going to win a Ballon d'Or playing fullback with Liverpool, but you just might play for Real Madrid.
Well, if Florentino Perez gets his way.
Well, exactly. There's a bit of cash going. Exactly.
An interesting one, definitely. But Matt, you were saying about players separating fandom of a club to playing. We had it with, and I don't want to bring his name up lightly because he had issues, should we say, that happened while he was with the Albion. But Lee Hughes signed him from Kiddie. He was, from non-league. It was great for us. He's got the Albion crest tattooed on his arm. Had a release clause of 5 million, and I think the chairman's basically said to anyone, if you can break that release clause, then he can talk to you. Coventry come in, I think, £5,001,000, so it was technically above the clause, and he went. But ironically, Coventry made him wear long sleeve shirts because of his Albion tattoos.
Same as, Everton had two of those. We had Ferguson, I'm pretty sure played for Newcastle with an Everton tattoo. And the most famous one is Rooney, who in a weird way now has accepted back at Gunners, and obviously he played for us 2017, 18.
2018, he was back there, It was back from at home, Greg, we went to. 1-1.
Yeah, you're right.
1-1, yeah.
Jay Rodriguez.
I saw him score a hat-trick against West Ham on a £13
Jay.
ticket on the day of the game, which was still the best decision I've ever made in my entire life.
Jay Rodriguez scored, Jim?
We were awful. Yeah, sounds about right for that period.
Would have been a
Maybe, I don't know. I feel like it might have been him or Rondon for West Brom at that point. I'm not entirely sure.
Or striker.
Craig Dawson were playing for West Brom. I remember that.
Just watch
a
it.
great player.
Staring at Craig Dawson for 95 minutes.
God. Big Sam was the manager for Everton.
He was.
And
It was a strange season. We finished 8th.
It was a very unusual.
It's an unusual game.
I was trying to think who our manager would have been at that point. It was probably
It would have been.
Pardew.
I think it was. It was around the time of that taxi thing going on. I think
was in charge of.
That was Pardew. Yeah,
I think
definitely.
it was around that time. So I think you had Gareth Barry in your team, and obviously we'd had him not long before. I seem to remember. I could be wrong. But yeah,
What was it? 1-1, 20th of January.
1-1. 1-1, January 2018. Yeah.
Yes, 18.
In charge. Yeah, it was Pardew.
Pardew. Yeah, Pardew.
There.
Oh, it's a proper Barclays
yeah.
11 in the. You look at some of the players.
And that's being generous.
Go
So you got
for it.
West Brom. You got Ben Foster in goal.
Legend.
Craig Dawson, Johnny Evans.
Yes.
I'm not sure his actual first name, but Higazi.
Ahmed Aghazi.
Ahmed Aghazi, yeah. Egyptian centre half,
Yeah,
yeah.
You got Kieran Gibbs. Chris Brunn. Gareth Barry, who I forget played for West Brom.
Yeah, we got him to West Brom.
Gosh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh, I can't remember his name. Is it Kakoviak? Yeah.
Yeah.
Polish. Matt Phillips.
He spent more time on Instagram showing pictures of where he's been touring the country. I think I had him on loan from PSG, I want to say.
Yeah. And then Matt Phillips on the right-hand side. Rondon and Rodriguez up front. That's a proper bar.
Matt Phillips, player who had an injury career blighted by football. It's a shame because he was great.
Yeah.
He had great ability, but
Jake Livermore on the bench, McLean, Macaulay, Niam, Robson Cardew, Boas Myhill, and then a youngster, Field. I'm guessing, I have no idea.
Sam Field, yeah, local boy.
Yeah.
Playing for QPR now, I think.
I think he is, yeah.
I think he's only from Hagley, which is like next town over from where I am. So, yeah.
All right. Cool.
Players in the Albion side, though.
Yeah, how we went down, but I'm blaming Pardew for that because Big Dave took over afterwards.
Yeah.
And again, the form that we had going into those last few games under Darren Moore, another couple of games would have stayed up.
Yeah.
I'm fairly sure of that.
Yeah, because that was the year that I think, was it like Southampton, Swansea were in a lot of trouble as well, and Stoke and all that, and it was with the field stayed up somehow that year.
Huddersfield were in the league that season.
We were relying on a result between I want to say Southampton and Swansea, but it was some of the teams that they all began with S down that end of the league, and because of the result of that, meant we mathematically couldn't stay up.
I think Southampton were at Swansea, and then everyone got relegated.
Yeah, we needed a draw.
Yeah, that was the year Mark Hughes nearly got everyone else relegated, I think.
Yeah,
he was manager of Southampton, and then he went to Stoke, and then Paul Lambert, or I don't know. It was a strange time.
Fun times.
Burnley finished 7th.
Burnley finished in 7th.
We
had Sam Allardyce in charge of Bill Walcott on the wing. Yeah. Who was in the Everton side of things for reference?
Who's what, sorry? Everton side?
Yeah, just someone who really...
Are you sure you want to hear this? It's not a great...
Hector was in goal, I'm guessing. Pipo Martina.
Played left back.
Right, okay.
It's bad enough.
Centre of... You're looking at Michael Keenan, maybe Mason Holgate.
You got one, Mason Holgate, you're missing another. Classic centre-half.
Jagielka still there at that point?
He
might have been.
Is, but on the bench. Both of us on the bench.
Right.
Keane and Jagielka both on the bench.
Right.
You're forgetting about... This is centre-half that even I forget played for this time, but he did score at least twice for us.
Oh, not Alcaraz, no.
No.
God.
Without giving it away.
Oh, I can't think now.
Bit of a Barclays man, bit of a Barclays centre-half, not for Everton.
Oh,
Jesus.
wow.
Right, I'm going to work around it. Rooney and Walker playing.
Come back.
Walcott's playing, Rooney's on the bench.
Oh, fair enough.
So yes, Sigurdsson, yes. Up front, yeah.
Yeah, fucking Cenk Tosun. Oh dear.
What a player. What a player.
Cenk Tosun. He was so bad.
Oh, Cenk Tosun. That's one of our... Oh, God. That's one of our... That's how one of our things where it just means absolutely what the fuck.
Yeah.
Cenk Tosun. That's our... My mate, Strudel, just texts me, Cenk Tosun, and I go...
Still the funniest thing is that picture he plays is holding the cup, and I think Rondon's coming off and
Rondon's
coming
coming
on.
off.
The face is so funny.
Fuck. Shit.
James
so
McCarthy.
Yeah, he plays in midfield alongside. Is that where he broke his leg?
Yeah, he
Did you
did.
have MacArthur as well?
No, MacArthur went to Palace, and then we sold
Yeah.
McCarthy to Palace.
Yeah, which made it very confusing.
So they were both at Palace for a time. So how did McCarthy play along that? Wasn't Tom Daly?
No.
He was a bit young then.
Yeah.
I think you need to put him out of his misery, mate, in all
Okay.
honesty.
On the bench.
There's
2 names that you're going to kick yourself for. Right. So you're missing a fullback, you're missing right back.
right back.
No. So you're missing a right back, a centre half, centre fielder, and a left winger. The left winger
Bloody hell.
might
Steve
get...
Watson.
What a player. So the fullback...
David
No. On the... Not even on the bench, how bad he was.
Sandro Ramirez. I don't know. I think every time.
Sandro was not on the bench.
Ah,
Yannick Balassi was, though.
bringing up.
Right. So, your fullback... Okay, your fullback, German football legend.
Thomas Hitzlsperger? No.
No. 2017-18. He retired about 4 years previous.
Football legend.
Number 43,
43.
I think.
Have we mentioned... So there's a...
Greg, you still guessing it?
No. Yeah.
Was number 40.
Begins with an S.
No, he doesn't.
Rondo Kenny.
John Kenny's playing fullback.
Oh, he was nice.
Your centre half is Ashley Williams. And then
Williams. No.
McCarthy played alongside French football legend Morgan Schneidlin.
Morgan Schneiderlin. He was.
Absolute beast on Football Manager.
Yeah.
And then your left winger,
He was.
this is one I would not get, but is Nikola Vlasic.
Oh.
Not a chance again. Who did come off for Yannick Balassi.
No wonder.
Oh, Johnny Evans is playing for West
How
Brom
that game
there.
finished 1-1, I have no idea. You should have battered us. But hey, Holgate and Ashley Williams are centre half.
It's not as bad as when we played under Pulis, 4 centre halves across the back.
Yeah, good stuff. What you want, real football.
Pete Pulis, it was.
Weather Pep, yeah, won a league.
It was Dawson right, I think Johnny Evans left, and then Olsen and Macaulay
Yes.
in the middle.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, if that was a central 4, you centre.
You're fine at set pieces.
There's
4 centre backs, then great.
Brian Tarkov.
Imagine that. We played Man United, and I think it was Mark Goldridge was like, they just got 4 fucking units in the back, and I was like, yeah, we do. Our back 4. No one's out jumping at least 3 of that back 4.
Oh.
It's illegal. Look at the sides.
I was really surprised by that result. I mean, I don't take offence to that, but right, fair enough.
I was convinced we were on the beach, and I thought Newcastle were just going to win this like 2-0.
Because Jimmy said something on Twitter that you thought they were going to get battered,
yeah.
basically. And
Newcastle have got Champions League football with Isaac and all sorts. I think we're the only team to finish 4th with a negative goal difference.
Goal difference, yes.
Which is peak football. I love that. That still makes me laugh. Spurs are doing well. Spurs have nearly outpeaked us by finishing 17th and we're getting the Champions League. But it's positive goal difference, I think.
I think that...
Spurs, I'm pretty sure, is a positive goal difference.
Yeah.
Not by much.
See, that's why it's outstanding season for fans then, because they've got a positive goal difference.
Let's have a look. They finished... No, they didn't. -1.
It's only just then.
well,
Because they lost 4-1 on the last day. They went -1.
Well, they've roughened it.
Yeah, for a little while they were a
-1.
potential
-1.
positive goal difference finishing 17, which I admire.
Yeah, I love how we can finish 4th on -1 goal difference, 61 points, and a few years later finish 5th on 72 points. And
Still the highest points total to not
How does
get
that work?
Champions League football. 70
Unreal.
points this season would have got you,
No.
which is just painful to look at. 3rd. We'd have beaten City this season.
Yeah.
Okay.
But because it was 2014, it got us 5th.
Yeah.
And you
What a
can't
team.
do that. Can't take that back, can you, really?
Then all went downhill because Martinez didn't realise he got to defend.
We all went to shit up that season. Yeah.
Got Roberto. He's a guy that falls upwards on a constant basis.
Oh, how the fuck's he the manager in Portugal?
Is he still there?
From Belgium's Portugal.
Oh, man.
God knows how.
Anyway, that's a whole podcast in its own.
Yeah. Can I say any?
There's been a lot of those segments so far, isn't there?
We've had a good selection of managers over the years. If we look back over the
yes.
last 10 years, it's an interesting selection. Benitez, I'm pretty sure, is still a fever dream. I'm convinced that didn't happen and someone was just having me on. Benitez.
Who's that?
That was the weirdest.
Yes.
6 months
That
he was in
was,
charge for. He was gone by.
That was,
Christmas,
you need
wasn't
to hit the floor. Yeah, my
When
God.
was he sacked? It must have been at least.
Hit the ground.
January.
Was it January? Was it?
Yeah.
Because we bought
After we sold Lucas Digne.
to Villa. And
Human.
then buzzing 2 fullbacks and he left.
And bought Nathan Patton in.
Oh my God. And Mikalenko, who's referred to him, has turned out okay. Not quite Lucas Dean levels, but fair enough. The Mashiri years. We'll look back in fondness in about 25 years.
Well, if we go down, we definitely will look back in fondness.
It's the weirdest thing because someone said to me, like, when the Freakins took over, what's going to be his legacy? And it's the weirdest thing because you've got this team which is a mess, yet you've got this brand new stadium which looks amazing on the docks. And that's what will be his legacy in a weird way. Incredibly.
I'm still waiting for something to go wrong with the stadium. I'm still waiting for the roots to leak or something to not work.
It'll sink into the
Do you think it could just float off by any chance?
Well, it's cemented in, so I hope not.
I'm waiting for something to just. I know
That'll be the next time the Queen Mary's in a docking, it'll just fall into the stadium. It'll capsize, just fall into the stadium. On its way.
I'm thinking floodlight failure. First night game, Monday night football.
Under the lights.
Oh yeah,
you've nailed it. Yeah, that's it.
So that was the overlying thing from the first test event. It's bloody cold. It was February, and they were like, "Bring 8 layers. It's going to be fucking cold in that stadium."
I think we need to go around the grid. Like, what do you think is going to be the first problem at the new stadium? I think
the first problem is I think Everton will request to change the first home game to an away game. I think who did it recently? Liverpool did it when they were
rebuilding the main stand.
I think that'll happen. I don't know why.
Everything's ready.
Just to make sure everything's ready. I think that might happen because they've got one
move.
more test event they have to do at some point in the next few months, which I reckon has to be full capacity, which logically would dictate they're going to do probably a Seamus Coleman testimonial if he can still walk. Bless him. He might make an appearance, he might not, who knows. And I think they'll use that as a chance to do a final test event. And then, because they have to do the 3 to essentially sell booze, they have to do 3 test events to get the alcohol license.
Yeah.
I
mean, worst case, if the new ground doesn't work out, they've got one ready-made to go back to.
We have got one that's falling down.
It's got no seat. Well, it's going to have most of the seats taken out of it, but how is that going to work, by the way? Because, a bit of context, if you're a season ticket holder, you can buy your season ticket seat. Great. Fully behind that. Yeah. 90 quid, bit expensive, but it is what it is. But with the women's team moving in, it's just going to be pockets of seats that are just missing with the first few home games until they replace them.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Because I was thinking that one. Or my favourite story recently, I have to put this out. Everton banned a supporter from coming to the final home game because he was found at the second to last home game with screwdrivers and tools to remove his own seat. To which someone did point out, what was he planning on doing for the final home game when he turned up?
Standing up, really? Sitting there? I'm not too sure.
Oh, his seat's gone.
Is the safe standing test?
Just thought that was really, really funny. It's like he hasn't quite thought ahead there, is he? Doesn't quite. Yeah. It's fairly. If yours is the only seat that's gone, they're probably going to know it's you as well.
It kind of narrows it down slightly.
It's almost as if they got something to link you to that seat. The fact that it's your fucking name on it. That was brilliant. Yeah. Anyway, on the Goodison thing, Greg, as you might remember, me and Jimmy did go. We didn't have a ticket, but we went outside the ground. It was chaos, for lack of a better word.
It looked incredible. It really did look incredible.
It was hilarious, for one way or another.
On what?
Well, it depends how you look at it. So, Mersey Travel even, don't get the best rep at times. For sometimes justifiable reasons, sometimes not. So for anyone unaware of where Goodison is placed, it's sort of the north of the city. If you're in the city centre, there are 3 train lines that run out the north of the city centre. 2 of them go past Kirkdale train station, which is where you get off. It's about a 20-minute walk to Goodison. The other one goes up to Southport. Merseyrail have 4-car trains and 8-car trains. So you would think, again, this is just me planning this, you've got a big event coming up, you would put the 8-car trains on the lines they're going to have all the football fans on, not on the Southport line. No, didn't do this. All the 4-car trains were on the small one, so the trains were packed. So we ended up getting up towards the ground at a place called Sandhills, which is where the new ground is, and then walking, and we met 2 Southampton fans, mother and son, wasn't it? Right, Jim. Who were sort of like, how do we get to the ground? We were like, just follow us. As you walk in near to the ground, you go over Scotty Road and whatever else, there was just a cloud of blue smoke. And it was like, where are we going? So you see that cloud of blue smoke? There. Just follow that and you'll get to it.
Wow.
As you get up towards the ground, as you're getting up towards the ground, it just kind of narrows. I don't know if you've been, Mark, but there's just narrows into a little street. You're not. Essentially, it's a residential area, so it just narrows into little streets. So all these streets are then coming off Goodison Road. And I'm thinking, we can get round the back of this. No, not a chance. We get to basically what is the end of the East Lancashire Road. It's a dual carriageway in essence, and it's heaving. It's just full of people to the point where there's cars stuck in the middle of it.
Yeah, the main Goodison Road was full.
The police didn't close it, whatever else. So the plan was that the 1878s, who are the fan group, had organised a coach welcome. Because they'd been doing all the things inside the ground, all the banners, all the displays you'd seen. So the last game was like, right, you guys can do the coach welcome. Great, really good stuff. Merseyside Police told people not to come if you didn't have a ticket. To which Everton then came and said, yeah, come along. Please come and greet the coach. Not expecting probably about 75,000 people to turn up, which is nearest time it double.
People had come from America, from Jersey,
everywhere.
From wherever.
Put it this way, so my journey into
the team had no relation to them.
Fair point. Yeah, it goes to get my point.
Okay.
Essentially, so in the morning, so I agreed to meet Jimmy in central Liverpool because we kind of came from different areas. I got on at a place called Newton the Willows, thinking it'll be dead quiet. It's 8 o'clock on a Sunday morning. No, platforms heaving full of blues. And then everywhere in town was full of blues, and the train, like I say, the train was just chaos. We managed to get through the crowd to this, I don't know how, to this day, just sheer will at this point, to near Stanley Park, and then thankfully towards the Bullens end, it was quieter, much quieter, because I think obviously the coach welcome was dedicated towards the Goodison Road end. A friend of mine who we met up later was up against the hot walk, didn't see the coach come past because it was that much blue smoke. He said there was just a horde of blue smoke, and that was it. It was like, might have been the coach that had gone past. Yeah, they had no idea.
How's he driving through
basically,
that?
The police barrier them off, so they clear the road out, and the coach can get through. But the coach normally comes down Goodison Road and the players get off. They couldn't do that. They had to take them round the other side of it, and they came through the car park or the park end, I think, is the way they got them in. The main premise of the day was everyone was just saying to everyone else, imagine if we were good. That was the main premise. Because it was just like, it was hilarious. I will put out, it was all done in very good spirits. It was very respectful, no trouble at all. It was a mess. Don't get me wrong, there was crap everywhere. But I think by the next day, the street cleaners have been out and cleared it all up. It was good to see at least you didn't see the odd knobhead in there who, was taking it essence too far. There were people up on telephone posts and all sorts on walls, but I think all still done with an element of let's just be very aware that this is a residential area, Goodison, wherever you go. So yeah, it was a really fun afternoon. I still reckon if we'd hung around enough at the end of it, we probably could have snuck in after the whole ceremony had been on. If he could have chanced your arm, there was a definite chance you could have snuck in an entrance somewhere. But I'm not sure I would have wanted that to be my final experience. Not that it might not be, but my experience of the potentially last game of Goodison would be actually going to a game or to the stadium tour a few months ago. But yeah, glad we went. I was knackered come the Sunday night. I was exhausted when I got home. I slept like a baby because I was absolutely... I had a busy week up until that day itself. But yeah, it was a fun day, to say the least. There was some things I've seen. Like, the amount of kids holding flares was just so funny. Being like egged on. I was like, no, you got to hold it with like pride. There's kids there with like a burning thing on his hand, kind of going, it's a bit concerning.
Should my skin be melting? But yeah.
Crowd surfing dogs? Or?
Not this time, no. That's purely for relegation battles, that one.
What about the guy that chained himself to the nets.
I missed him. I thought he might make an appearance. He had more reason to be the new Molly Ass did, anyway. The funniest bit of that is I forget it's Asmir Begovic in goal.
Yeah, it is.
And there's an amazing photograph where Begovic clearly double takes in sort of a, what the fuck? Who are you? It's this guy's there with a thing, taping himself to the post.
Well,
It's the guy that's trying to take
With
him
the
off.
teeth.
No. The funniest bit of that is
The teeth guy.
funniest bit of that. This is not common known. Is there's a guy in the Gladys Street who makes himself known to the stewards, pulls out a pocket knife as if it's just perfectly normal to have it, and offers it to the steward. And like, this be helpful, lads? No. And they're like, why have you got a pocket knife? What are you doing?
What's that one, Mark? On the wrestling one, is it Botchamania?
Yes.
Oh Christ!
Where the compilation
Yeah.
of just random
Yes.
shit happening, and you could just do Botchamania for
Good as an
or
addition.
Dale,
you could do
anybody
anyone
really.
but
But
Mania, I'm sure.
It'd be the new version of like the old gaffs videos you used to get back in the day.
Rory
on
what's his name?
VHS
Rory
and-
McGrath.
Rory McGrath.
Yeah, Rory McGrath,
There's a name, but
Danny Baker, all that sort of crew.
Danny Baker did him.
Baker, yeah. What he just did, didn't he?
Yeah.
Own goals and gaff. I probably still got an own goals and gaff video somewhere in this house.
We've all had, of a certain generation, we've all had one or two, haven't we?
Yeah.
I was going to
Christmas
say,
gift.
with regards to obviously Everton changing grounds, it's one of the few that it's one of many rather that I won't have been to the old one and then hopefully the new one. Just trying to think ones I have done. I've done both Wembleys with mixed fortune, shall we say. Not seen Albion win at the new Wembley, so just for context. Trying to think of others now.
Highbury and
Derby.
Emirates.
No, didn't do Highbury.
Highbury Spurs.
No.
No.
And Spurs.
Although I am at Spurs ground in July for a gig,
I'm going to see.
that doesn't really
Nice.
count.
You're going to go and
Not,
see?
Imagine Dragons taking my oldest
nice.
daughter for her first one. So
Oh, nice. Lovely.
downside is it clashes with one of the Oasis nights at Wembley.
Yeah, that's because they've got a few gigs on, haven't they? Spurs ground.
Yeah,
On
I
the
couldn't get a
Saturday
ticket for
nights,
that,
it's
but
Oasis.
that's another story for
They
another
were
time.
cheaper at Wembley than at Heaton Park. Was ridiculous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you
So I think
going,
there
Greg?
is another one.
Are you going?
No,
thought you were going.
no. I was. I don't know anybody that's got a ticket.
Bowling ground and I mean,
They're
whatever
West
the new
Ham.
ground is.
Be a show, wouldn't it?
Yes, I did go to Upton Park, but I've not been to
Nice.
the Olympic Stadium yet.
I nearly went for a Foo Fighters gig and then they cancelled it because unfortunately the drummer died.
So yeah.
Yeah.
I
Roper
think
Park
gotta
and Stadium
be-
of Light?
No, neither.
No.
I don't know what new
This
grounds
is
has
just
been.
throwing random grounds at me now.
Oh, what about Hull City? The old stadium
No,
and the new.
neither.
Burndon
No.
Park, Reebok, Bolton.
Done Reebok, not Burndon.
Jim, it's not the Reebok.
Sorry,
Get it-
that's
get it right. Thank you.
Tough sheets.
If you're going to call it
Yeah,
properly.
it's the Reebok, whatever.
Fucking Reebok.
It's still the
It's the
Reebok.
tough chic community stadium, guys. Come on, get it right.
You'll always, it's always the Reebok.
It wasn't when I went, put it that way. Yeah. If I think of it, I'll let you know. So 'cause we'll be here all night
It
otherwise.
could be
Trying-
Ayrton Park,
Absolutely.
Riverside. I could list a few more, but
trying to
I'm
think,
trying to think
of
more
anything else.
around your kind of area. Coventry, Leicester, Gilbert Street.
Coventry,
No, I've
surely.
I've done Coventry for 3 gigs,
The new one.
but never football.
Right.
Leicester, yeah, Filbert Street and King Power.
I went to Filbert Street. There was what was the tournament now? I've got to be careful how I put this. It was for players with learning disabilities. It was like a World Cup that was over here. They used Leicester, I think Northampton, Sixfields was another one.
Right.
And this was before I got into the blind football as well, like
Yeah.
many years
Oh,
before.
brilliant.
I think the final might have been at Leicester.
Oh, well.
My dad would know because he'll have it all written down somewhere, like the anorak that he is. And I mean that in a nice way, obviously. But apparently, there'd be players, some of them it was more obvious that they'd got issues.
Yes.
I'm trying to be as politically correct as I can with this sort of thing. 'Cause it's obviously a very sensitive area. But then you've got players, I didn't realise, like Lee Bowyer, he got something but managed a Premier League level career. I don't know what it was now. I don't know if it was dyslexia or something like that, but there was something that he'd got, which would have, I think, technically qualified him for this
Oh, wow.
tournament.
Well, you've got like
Oh,
is
wow.
it James McLean from Albion playing for obviously known for a lot of things with diagnosed as ADHD, I think, isn't he?
I don't know.
I believe he is. Recently got diagnosed, I think it was ADHD.
Yeah,
And I think
I suppose that sort of thing. And again, this has taken another turn as well. But there's more ways of finding out nowadays.
Yeah,
if you have got something like that,
definitely.
Without pigeonholing someone and just saying, "Oh, they're a bit thick."
Yeah, they're just this way. It's not. There's an explanation for it.
There's ways of working out like this is what they got, this is what they need.
Yeah,
and going in the right direction with the educational requirements, I suppose. If they're young enough.
It's something that.
Sorry, I got a bit serious then. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I'll just say a sentence and then we'll what have you. But it's like they tell you things about what you could see in toddlers now about it, and they go, really? Like our daughter, she isn't, but there's signs that you could look out for, and you go, oh right, okay, and then if that were to continue for another couple of months, that would be classed as this, and you go, oh, and then it doesn't, and you go, oh, so what? There's a lot of things that you can sort of capture early on, and you go, oh well, that wasn't a thing for me. How old am I? 37. 30 years ago, that wasn't a thing. Finding this level of detail, if you will.
Yes, as kids, I think about kids I was at school with, and they were just classed as, let's face it, they were classed as like the weird kid. And I look back and think, well, I don't know what they must have gone through, because they must have been going through not being understood or not being heard in particular. It must be bloody horrible. I'm glad you are seeing more towards that, or people saying, "Okay, no, that's not the case." It's because this is a logical reason as to why they are this way, and that's help them and support them.
Yeah, you'd be amazed how early they can stop signs now and school and take them. How, like I say, I spent 9 years in primary education. The amount of children that come into the system with technical diagnoses, and I think as well from a football perspective, there's so much now the FA have got for how to manage and cope with children with ADHD, with ASD, with all different things. And I think it's really good that we can do that and include young boys and girls, and make them feel not overwhelmed by a big social situation or, make it an unsafe environment for anyone. I think it's really good that we have got that structure and network in place now. Because I think ultimately, as well, you think about the amount of children that in the football context that may not have enjoyed football when they were younger. It wasn't that they didn't enjoy football; they just didn't enjoy the way they were being taught, or the environment wasn't good for them, or something.
It leads back around into the same with like sexuality, race as well. I mean, my team back in the 70s with the 3 degrees, big advocates for bringing through players of ethnic minorities, and let's face it, back in the 70s, black players were very few and far between. Ethnicity or sexuality or even gender for like pundits and officials and that. I know plenty of females who could quite easily hold a conversation about football, at a level way above any of the blokes that I know.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah. And shout out to her game too as well.
Absolutely, yes.
So it's not the sort of thing that we want necessarily, if you get me, but it's a good thing that it's there because they're doing a stand-up job. So the girls who are involved in that, good on you. And that comes from a place where I've got 2 young daughters who I'd love to take to the Hawthorns at some point.
Oh yeah,
probably have to force them to go or bribe them, but yeah.
I've been trying to think about that with my daughter, like in the future. It's like, God, just don't follow Rochdale. Follow.
Sorry to bring it back a bit though with the women's football side of things, is that we are giving Goodison to the women's team for them to work towards and play, and it gives them that real sense of optimism. I think it's great for the women.
I think it's because again we talked about it the other week when they just after they announced it, and there was an element of like, is that going to take away from what was the Sunday, that game? And no, that was that question. It wasn't. And I saw the same video as you, and then I also saw someone tweet the end of Toy Story 3, which is the bit where Andy hands over the toys to Bonnie to enjoy, and someone said this is like giving Goodison to the next generation of girls. But there is that situation where I think actually that's actually kind of cool, and also from our own perspective, that's a big thing. It's a statement to say that we believe that we're going to back this women's team so they are going to be worthy of having a stadium of that size, because you see Arsenal sell out the Emirates for a couple of games a year, but it's on a regular basis to have a women's team go into what is, yes, albeit an older stadium and needs updating, but it's a Premier League standard stadium, and it's hosted European football not that long ago, is a huge thing. And if it does mean that, I think the nice thing is it gives people the chance. If you don't want to go and watch women's team, fine, don't go. No one's forcing you to go. It doesn't have to be your thing. Will I go again? Yeah, probably. Actually, now I think about it, I might pick up the odd game and go. Actually, not just because of Goodison, but to have the nice thing together of having things. Well, I can go to Goodison and I can also support the women's team as a thing together. That makes for me more reason to go instead of Walton Hall Park, which is where they currently play down the road, is essentially a stand or two. It's nothing that impressive. So yeah, I was unsure about it at first, and then I seen you see a few people giving their opinions and stuff, and it's like, actually, yeah, for the long run, it'd be something I think we'll be glad we've done, because I'm hoping that give it X amount of time, it'd be unrecognisable compared to what we know it as. But for a generation of kids coming through, especially young girls, it'd be a thing of that's the epitome of where they want to go and play for Everton. I think that's really, really cool.
I suppose it keeps the legacy of the ground as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because there was a real worry that whatever they're going to, Goodison's going to be left at, you're always going to have, like Arsenal have the centre circle spot.
That was what I was going to bring around to, was Highbury being left.
Instead of having, whereas it's still, football still becomes the heart of that community. And it's, you're going to have match days that, yes, aren't going to be, for the time being, 40,000 people, but you still get a decent chunk. It keeps us business, the pubs and the chippies and stuff. They still get business every other weekend, which is great. So yeah, it makes the most logical sense if you can run it and run it well, which I think they will do.
Yeah, I'll say just got to wait and see how it goes, haven't you?
Yeah. No, I'll just have a quick sentence on this stadium, and then we'll do whatever you want to do. But I was seeing it from a different angle at one point, because I was thinking that then the women's team wouldn't have the opportunity to play in the new stadium. But then it sort of sunk into me that once they play in the Goodison Park Stadium, it's got to be better than what they're playing in now, surely. Do you know? So it's a lineage thing, and it's great that they can play at Goodison Park, the women's team. But I do also hope that they get a chance to play in the new stadium as well. I know that sounds a bit
I think therein there lies your issue. Their aspiration shouldn't be to play in the men's team stadium. I think that's where Everton have done this quite well. They've given them this thing of going, here you go. You've now got, this is yours now. No one's going to touch this. We're not going to have the men's team. You might have the under 21s game or that's not, this is now yours. And I think that's where the issue with a lot of the women's teams come in, is that you see, and Arsenal, it's great seeing them, like I say, talking about the them winning the Champions League, great. But a lot of those clubs, as you go further down, the women's team is sort of an afterthought. It's sort of like, we have one because it's the done thing to do. But was it Wolves recently, or was it Wolves, where they couldn't even compete?
Blackburn pulled their team for women's championship.
That was Blackburn, wasn't it?
Blackburn.
That's where you think that's sad. Really, really sad. Whereas to give the women's team for Everton this ground and go, here you go, right, this is now yours. It's not going to be taken away from me. We're not going to, you've now got this not to carry, but you know what I mean when I say that. This is your pinnacle, but
they've got their own platform.
Exactly. It's not just you are, when the men's team are playing in a way, you can come and use the ground, and we'll try and get, X amount. Make it its own thing, so you do get people going week in, week out, and it then has its own remedies, match day things, and it gets its I'm not wording it very well, but I think it's a good thing to do to give it it gives them identity, which is what women's teams, a lot of them in British football, need, because they're still in the shadow of the men's team, or it's a knock on of the men's team, which is not going to help them progress. Whereas look at England women's teams, they're looked at, they play the same stadium, but it's very much a separate entity than the men's national team, and that helps them massively.
Agreed. Just before we wrap up, predictions for the Champions League final this weekend. Shall we do the rounds on that and then wrap up, do you reckon?
Can do.
Yeah.
I just want Inter to win it, basically. I got a soft spot for Inter, same colours as Rochdale. I've been to the San Siro. I love Serie A. I'm pulled towards Inter Milan more than PSG. I don't know about anybody else's feelings about that, but there's something, I don't know if it's just the old James Richardson thing and what I used to watch, and I don't know. Inter for me anyway.
Yeah, same. I'm thinking Inter 2-1 after extra time.
Oof. I would like to see Inter do it, but I think PSG. I think PSG are the best side in Europe, but I can see them winning 1-0, 2-0.
Yeah, I think it'll play out It's got the potential to play out similarly to the Inter Barca semi, which is very much PSG will play like Barca and Inter will play like Inter. On the night, yeah, I think PSG might have a bit too much quality. They have a cup final at the weekend, PSG.
PSG beat Ram in the cup final last Saturday. They've won the domestic double again, and they're just in the league, aren't they? They've been on the, they've
had it
warmed up with this the last few weeks.
Oh, so Inter a second. I see where you're coming from. Napoli obviously haven't really tapped into that, but Inter have lost it by 1 point, or if they're still
games
finished
going.
You
also see the celebrations, right? My God,
I did see that. Yeah, I thought there may have been a game to be played, even though they won the league or something
Conte
like that.
style is now rumoured to be leaving.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's like
which is so Antonio Conte is not even fully. Win the league and I'm off.
Wow. On FotMob, you've got 101,000 people have voted on this. They've got 60% of people think PSG are going to win, 33% Inter, 7% draw. I don't know how you work that one out.
Draw for 90 minutes.
90 minutes, I guess.
20 minutes.
Come on, Inter. That's all I can say about that. Go on, Inter.
I think it's one of those situations that no matter who wins it, PSG is a tough one because I know they're state backed or whatever else, but I think it kind of justifies everything they've done after having Neymar, Messi, Mbappe, whatever else, and they've rebuilt a team that's going to achieve more.
Yes.
After that, whereas Inter is the bit more of the fairy tale, maybe you could argue. And I think after their semi-final, which is probably one of the best two-legged ties I've seen ever, which is a bold claim, but it was two games that were unbelievable. I mean, I missed the first half of the first leg, which was utterly frustrating. But the second leg was bloody good watch from both teams, and either team could have gone through and you wouldn't have complained on the night.
No,
maybe Inter just destined. Who knows? A bit like Palace. Is there a bird involved on either side?
No.
Is it a dragon?
There's like a serpent for Inter, isn't there?
Near enough.
Yeah.
Snakes eat birds in the wild. I don't know.
Near enough.
Fair.
Crikey. Okay, gents. I think on that note, we're wrapping up here. I'll pass it over to you, Jam. Jam. I am Jim. Yeah.
Been a long season.
It's been a tiring season.
Whether you are an out-of-town sports travelling in that Matt thoroughly hates, or indeed...
I misunderstand them. That's it.
Whatever. No one's listening at this point. Or indeed, quite frankly, you're just looking forward to a nice summer break where there's no football apart from the Club World Cup, the 21 Euros, and...
Women's Euros
as well. So, nice break from football where there's no football at all.
All the pre-season friendlies around the world. And then before you know it, season starts again.
It's the middle on that, isn't it, basically?
It basically is,
yeah. Anyway, just remember, regardless, it's only a game. Thanks, everyone.
Awesome. Cheers,
Thanks for listening, everyone. Take care.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.